Hi guys, welcome back to J2EE tutorial. This is the 29th video tutorial of J2EE. So the previous discussion we had a very introduction to filters, like how filters actually works, and so what and all methods we have to implement within filter interface, and how to do that. And we are also done with the very basic example. So now we are going to discuss a step ahead. It's like the validation filter I'm going to add. Suppose we have the login page available with us. So for this login page, what I'm trying to do is I'll add one filter which actually validates the inputs whatever it is passing. So what are the values I'm passing here, admin or anything. So with this value, I need to validate whether it is valid or not. If it is valid, then only I just want to navigate to the home page, which is product homepage. Otherwise it will keep stay in the login page itself. So if the user is not admin, then I want to keep the login here itself, login page itself. If user is admin, then only I just want to navigate it. It's like before making the db calls and all, I just want to make this happen with the filters. Clear this. So these are login. These where the login servlet will be available. So these also we have written the code. So before making this call, I just want to check the filter. Filter which checks if user is admin, then only go to the next page. So if user is not admin, then go to the login page itself. So directly redirect to login page itself. Don't perform any means skip calling login servlet. If it is user valid user, it means if it is admin user, then only call the login servlet. Other than admin user, just call the login page itself. Don't even make a call to login servlet. So that's kind of validation I'll be adding. So this I'll make it as validation filter. So for testing, I'm just putting this, and you can put what kind of validation you want to. If you want to have the validation like the characters you have to verify, or the numbers you're not allowing to validate, or anything, what kind of validation is there in your project requirement, that kind of validation you can put it here. For now, this is our requirement. Let's go and implement this. And we have this login page already ready, and we don't need to code for that. Let me close all these tabs. And we have the login already available, which is our Flipkart login, which is there already. Let me comment this line. So because we are working in this form now. So that the page looks like this. So my intention is whenever I'm submitting this one, instead of calling the login servlet, so let me put this out over here so that we can see whether this servlet is called or not. And now we have login index.html ready, and we have login servlet ready. and we need to create the validation filter. New class we have to create for that. So let me create a filter named validation filter. Let me stop the server. So as we know, for implementing any filter, we need to implement the interface called as filter. Implements filter, which is from javax.servlet. So make sure these are the filter you're going to import. And I'm just implementing unimplemented methods. The same. It's keeping. There's no issue even if you keep it in top or bottom. There's no issue. Let it keep it like this. And now I don't want to put any comments within the init or distro. I just want to put methods sysouts over do filter itself, because these are main method we have to look for. Just putting filter called. So these messages will be printed over the console. The console output will be printed. So I'm just put it login servlet called, and in validation in a filter I'll be printing filter called. So now I need to configure this filter to this particular servlet. So for that I need to go to web.xml. I need to have filter configuration, filter, and we need to have filter mapping. And the key attribute, we need to have filter name, which is v filter. I can give any name over here. The same name I need to mention in the filter mapping. And here I need to mention filter class. The class is Flipkart package dot validation filter. So I have declared the filter class, and now I need to have filter configuration, URL pattern. So which URL I need to mention? This login servlet. So whenever making a login servlet call, then execute this filter. That's it. So guys, so now we have login servlet ready and the validation filter ready. Let me run this program and we can see whether the filter is triggering or not. Later we can add validation, and depends on the response we can redirect to the index page. So let me run this. So to make sure our filter is triggering or not. So the expected is whenever you make a login submit, then the first message should be filter called and the second message should be the servlet login servlet call. So I missed here, like let me stop the server. I missed here, like we need to have chain dot for do filter, otherwise it won't navigate to the next resource. So as we discussed here, so if you mention do filter, then it will go to the next resource. Request, response, and chain. So I need to mention chain dot do filter of request and response. So that's it. Let me run this application, run on server. So whenever we make a proper valid or invalid credentials, it is actually going to the login page. So So the first message will be filter call, the second message will be login servlet called. So I'm just running this before putting our logic. There is a reason. So now we can see the difference between how it is functioning without putting our logic, and if you add our logic, how it functions. That we can see it once we are done with the coding. So let me refresh this. So I'm just clearing the console here. Let me clear the console. I'm just writing admin and admin. So I'm just giving right credentials, and we'll see the expected results. So coming to home page, product home, and here if you see it is called filter called and login servlet called. Even if you make invalid credentials also, like instead of admin, I'll be giving the name called Iron Man, some password, because this Iron Man is not there in the database. So I'm giving invalid credentials, but still it will call the login, the filter called and login servlet call. Both it will trigger it. Let me see it. So for the invalid credentials, let's see in the console. It's again the filter called and login servlet call. So let me comment out these messages, login success or login failure. So now we don't need these messages or the response, because these are making confusion. So let me put this instead of filter called, I'm just putting login filter called, and I'm stopping the server. So instead of making login success or failure, I'm just commenting these lines. So this makes us a little bit confused in the loggers. I'm just rerunning it. So I'll just make the sysouts proper with meaningful messages. So we got the home login page. Go there. So let me go to the console. To clear the console. Now if you see admin, if you give admin, so I'm giving the right credentials. For this case, this calling, login filter is calling and login servlet also calling. So if I go back and if I give invalid credentials also, like Iron Man, so which is not there, Iron Man, some password if you give. So these are invalid credentials I'm giving, and this time also it is calling both the calls, which is filter is calling and servlet is calling. So my intention is, if a user is giving right credentials, then go to the login filter and go to the servlet class. And if user is giving the invalid user like Iron Man or something, I don't want to call the login servlet itself. I just want to end up with this, and I just want to return to the login page. For that, what I'm doing is, now I'm putting the actual logic here. So for that, first I need to get the data, like what are the data we'll be getting, like what are the data we'll be giving, whether Iron Man or admin we are giving, right? So this input I need it, and with this I can able to validate here, like if user is admin, then only I'll be do filter I'll do. If it is not admin, then I won't do the do filter. So I'll redirect to the home page itself, the login page itself. Let me stop the server here. For that, what I'm doing is, first step, I need to get the data from the form. The way to get is like how you're getting in the login servlet, the same way you can get it using the request parameter. So there's no difference between the filter and the servlet in the request objects. So let me get string username equal to uname equal to any name, anything you can give it, request dot get parameter of, so what is the name or the username that you have to give it. So the name is username here, so I'm just giving username, and now I have the username available in my filter. Now I can validate if username equals admin, then only do filter, means then only navigate to the servlet. Else, so if it is not admin, if it is other than admin, which means Iron Man or Spider-Man, whoever it is, and if it is other than admin, then tell that just print in console invalid username, so navigating to login. So that's it. Here will be navigating to login. The way to do this is, so there is a class we have response.sendDirect, we can use it. SendDirect we can use it, or we can use request dispatcher here, because response object will not contain full features over here. Sorry guys. We can use a request dispatcher which actually does the perform, because we have the request and response objects. So request dispatcher is the one which is actually used for navigating from filter to any other the HTML files and all. Not only the HTML, it can able to use for navigating to any servlet also, along with the request and response details. So let me use that class request dispatcher, which is from Java X.Servlet. Request dispatcher equal to request dot get request dispatcher. So these you can get it from request object itself. So the value you have to give is what are the page it has to go, that particular page you have to give it. So the page here is the login page is index.html. So once you declare this request dispatcher, then you have to give request dispatcher dot include what are the page you have, that page you have to give it, and give the request and response. So with this, what will happen is it will print the what are the values it is there, or if you want to print in the same login page, so that we can do it even. So if you want to print, suppose if user is invalid, if he enters other than admin, we just want to print the invalid username entered, please enter right username, then we can show this form again. We can also do that. Let me For that we need to get the print writer object. Print writer out equal to request dot get writer. I think this writer is not from request, it's from response, responder get writer. Now because we are returning response over there, and now we need to set the content type. So we have set in the content type, and we have get the request object, the print writer object. Now we are actually printing out dot print of invalid user name. So what are the username we got, which is there in our uname. Please enter correct username. So I'm just giving this invalid username, what are the username he entered, and we are just redirecting index.html. The output is looking like in this page itself we'll be getting the invalid message, and it will show the login form again. In the console also it is printing the right outputs, right console outputs. Let's run this program and we can see the response. Run on server. So what we're doing, if user is enters the right credential, which is admin, and if he enters admin, then only the servlet will be called. If he is not entering admin, other than admin, anything whatever he gave, we just returning to the login index.html. There we are printing invalid username, and we are asking user to enter the correct username and password over there. Let me refresh this. So I'm just giving admin and admin for positive test scenario. So let me clear this. I'm just entering. So it simply goes to home page and it's printed login filter call and login servlet call. So these is what expected, which is what we mentioned over here. If it is admin, then directly call to the servlet, and servlet is also triggered. So what will happen if I entered invalid credentials, which is Ironman and some password. So if we enter, then see what kind of output we will be getting over there, and the UI also. See, you got invalid username Ironman. Please enter correct username and password, and we are redirected to the login page itself. If you see in the console, now it won't trigger the servlet because it's an invalid username. Let's see here. See here, login filter called and servlet call is not called because it's not triggered the servlet itself. Because here, if it is not admin, then we are redirecting to index.html, and it printed the console. What are the console message we wrote, and it is just printing. So now the servlet call is saved. So these are we can save our service calls. So here in this case, a validation itself it is failing, so we don't need to make a call to servlet. So it's a waste of effort to call the particular servlet. So that's how the filters are implemented in real time. So we can have more kind of validations over here, and if all are valid, then only we'll be calling the chain.do filter. If something any one of the validation is failing, then we can go to the same page, and these are we can show the error messages like invalid username, whatever mentioned over here. The same way we can list it in the same HTML page. So to recap for all the filter tutorials, so first we have discussed how filters actually and what filters actually perform pre-processing of any servlet, and filters actually implemented using filter interface, which is having three methods: init, do filter, and destroy. And do filter is the method where we can put our business logic, and depends on the logic, and if you have any validation or something, and we can navigate to next filter or next resource, whichever servlet or filter, whatever it is. And we have implemented very basic filter, which is my filter, which is about it's simply printing the messages like whether it is triggering or not. We just checked here. For this filter we configured with my servlet. My servlet is a simply HTML file where we can simply a simple servlet class where just print the message like my servlet, and for that we just configure the very basic filter class. And next we have the real-time example, how real-time the industry people are using. So for login servlet we implemented one validation filter like how we presented over the diagram. The same way we can implemented the log validation filter. Within this we are just validating username, and if it is user is valid, then we are forwarding to servlet class. Otherwise we are redirecting to the login page with the right message like how we displayed in the user. Likewise we'll be navigating to the login pages. So these are the major benefit of using filters, and make sure whenever you're writing any program, and make sure to habit of writing the filters. So that makes a lot of resource saving, and that makes code better coding, I can say. So that's the industry standards you can follow. So Thanks guys, thanks for watching. So the next tutorial we can see very interesting topic. Thanks for watching.